to Road to Ownership. My name is Wes. Today we're going to continue with our segment. We call this segment The Call to Ownership. You know, too many people live their entire working years paying rent, leaving nothing behind for their children and their grandchildren, while they could have made the effort to buy a house, build some equity, and leave something behind for the next generation. That is why we're going from state to state, from city to city, encouraging, educating, and promoting home ownership. Today we're going to go to the state of Rhode Island. But before I go to Rhode Island, I want to ask you for a quick favor. Please, just take 1 second and subscribe to this channel so more of the people who need to listen to this information can find it. Now, Rhode Island is a small state. It's the 45th most populous state in the country. Its population is just above 1 million people. The average price of a house in Rhode Island is $372,000 compared to $374,000, which is the national average. The homeownership rate for the state is 61.8 compared to 65.6, which is the national average. For blacks and African Americans, the homeownership rate in Rhode Island is only 35%. The cost of living index in Rhode Island is high. It's higher than the index, which is 100. It's 119. When it comes to home ownership, there are many factors that affect somebody's ability to buy a house. We know if you don't have a job, you cannot buy a house. Okay, if you cannot maintain a job of I would say 2 years, it's very difficult for you to find a lender to make a loan if you don't have proof that you can actually maintain a full-time job over 2 years. Also, I think many people, remain tenants because of their surroundings, their influence, their belief system, due to folks that are around them, due to the things that they used to hear when they were younger. So there are some factors, some negative factors that keep folks away from homeownership. Things that are not really concrete and physical, but more psychological and abstract. When it comes to, affordability is also a factor. For example, a state like Rhode Island is probably fairly expensive, so affordability become a factor. Enough about the state. Let me speak to you who live in Rhode Island, who's been a tenant, who's been renting a house for years. For many years, you've been renting a house. You've been paying that rent on a monthly basis. You have a full-time job. You've been working that full-time job for years. You plan to stay in Rhode Island. Rhode Island is your base. What is your plan? What's the strategy? You need to go towards home ownership. This is the best path. Home ownership is the single most important level of wealth for the working class. If you are in the working class, what is your plan? How are you going to go towards home ownership? Once you work a full-time job, you are settled, as an adult, you're working full-time for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. The path is towards home ownership. Have you started to lay the bricks towards home ownership? Are you working on improving your credit? Are you building some savings for a down payment? Are you maintaining a job over several years? You ready to buy a house? I want you today, if for all these years, you've been paying that rent, you did not see home ownership as a possibility because you think it was beyond you, or because you think home ownership was for rich people, or because you think home ownership was too difficult, or because you think home ownership was not a good investment because you're looking for something more exotic, like stocks or cryptocurrency. These in your mind, these were the path, for wealth building. I'm telling you, at every stage of life, there is an investment that you should approach. And I believe for stability, for your family, for the long haul, home ownership should be where you start. And then you can go into investments that are more risky, less stable, and does not attribute to your daily living. Okay? The primary home is very important for shelter. Shelter is one of the important levels, you know, in the hierarchy of needs. We cannot live in the streets. We have to live inside of a house. If you're gonna pay your rent, you know what? You might as well buy a house. You might have to leave the state of Rhode Island. You know, if that's what it takes, you might have to leave. I know there are values that are more important than just owning a house. You want to be next to family, but in the age of information, you know, you have a phone, you can FaceTime, you can email, you can connect with people. You have a cousin in a different state that's more affordable than Rhode Island. All I'm saying is make home ownership happen. Make it happen in your life, and do what you gotta do to make it happen. Because you know what? As human beings, as the human race walks, we are walking in the long run towards freedom. And homeownership is the single most important level of wealth. Okay, the purpose of wealth is freedom. So get on the path of freedom. This was the call for the state of Rhode Island. Thank you.